just hopping on here really quick to tap in. First of all, I have to say that I missed one day. I missed one day, and just reflecting on it, it was yesterday, which I was really tired about. I mean, what am I saying? I'm tired right now. That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Um, but I yesterday was a really long day. My roommate and sis was having her release party and birthday party here at our home. And so it was preparation around that. And anyway, yeah, it was just a crazy day. And so towards the end of the night, I just passed out, just went, came downstairs, laid on the couch and just passed out, fell asleep in my clothes and everything. It was crazy. Um, but before that, prior to that, I was still celebrating that I got to, I think I did 19 days straight consistently of posting every day on YouTube. So I missed one day and now I'm back today. So we'll see how long my next stretch will be. But yeah, still showing up, still being consistent. Just and giving grace where grace is needed. Um, but just curating, and cultivating a culture for myself that if there are times where there um, the sustainability of me doing it doesn't make sense, but getting right back to it. So here I am, and I just wanted to talk briefly around um, ancestral connection and knowing the history of our family lineage when it comes to our healing journeys. And I really think it's important to know family history because a lot of times there are things that people that were here before us that they went through, and then that and the reaping of what they sowed is something that we're experiencing in our lifetime or experience in our lives because um, they experience that. And a lot of times we have no clue because oftentimes in Black families, things aren't spoken about. And so you could be having an experience very similar or that is the same as someone in your family, your grandma, your mother, your great grandmother, whatever, uh, whatever that may be. And it may be completely out of context until someone shares with you, well, like, well, that so and so used to do this and that, and da 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 da, and then you start to connect the dots. Um, and me coming from a particularly quiet family, um, my father, he spent a lot of time in prison, and when he got out, we were able to have some conversations. Now, I don't necessarily know exactly what things were um, uh, uh, that were explained properly, as far as like I don't know what things that he recalls that are completely accurate, or if his lens may be a little muddy because of his own personal feelings about the situation or whatever that may be. However, um, he was able to, just tell me some stuff, like some stories about him and, my mom and like different people in my family that he remembers. I also have an auntie. Like I have some certain people in my family that like to talk about things that happened in the past. But I think that is really important when people tell the younger generations like the stories that happened and took place in our families, because then for one we can know like, okay, I'm not alone in this and somebody has experienced this outside of me, and it's something that our family has been through, has experienced. And so how do I do it better, or how do I be better in this situation? um and I think a lot of times um a lot of times things can happen um, in our families, and because we don't know, we may be repeating that same the same thing. And if we know about it, maybe just even the knowing about it will make us want to be like, you know what, I don't want to experience that. I don't want to go through that again. Um, I don't want to, I don't want to follow in those footsteps of someone that is being punished or like is going through a certain part of their lives because either they could have they could have done this in a different way, or or this particular thing that we are doing that we're continuing to pass down is traumatic and is problematic for everyone involved. And so I think it's really important for families to have conversations. I think that when I started on my healing journey, I feel like a lot of what I was experiencing was blame. I was blaming people in my family for the way that I was feeling, for the things that I didn't know, for the trauma that I was experiencing in my life because I didn't pull the right wisdom from the elders in my family. And so I was living out things in my life that I probably didn't have to live out had our family um, had conversations around certain things that people did. And I just think as a young person in general, to me, it was always really hard to listen to someone who did not listen to me and who also wasn't vulnerable. I think that vulnerability begets vulnerability, and so if you're not vulnerable with me, and you can't tell me things that you've been through, then it's really hard for me to connect and be vulnerable as well, because I just don't know if you're a safe space. I don't know if you're someone who is a safe space for me to be vulnerable and share things that I went through, because you could be the person that is going to point the finger. You're going to point the finger, or you're going to possibly give me bad advice, or honestly, because you're not vulnerable as well, I don't know if you're going to just go and tell somebody my business, or if you're going to just go and gossip about me. So I really think that when people show you vulnerability, and like elders show young people that I've been there, I've done that, I've been in your situation, I've made bad decisions as well. And you know, you're not you're not wrong for it. You're not less than because of it. Um, I think that that's really important, and I just hope that that's something that I can always cling to, is vulnerability. I think that a lot of people um, really struggle with vulnerability because of trust, and trust issues, and harm that was committed to them by people that they cared about, that they loved. And so, um, I think that vulnerability, and with people in our families, and just knowing things, and even if you have to ruffle a couple feathers, I think there were some things that I probably brought up in conversations, or some things that I said that probably ruffled some feathers, or wasn't necessarily like the like, I don't know, it wasn't the right thing to do or the right thing to say. But I think some of my emotions were extremely raw, and um the things that I was saying probably could have come out a little better. I probably could have said them in a better way, but that's what I learned throughout the years, is how to deliver things in a way that wasn't so harsh, and that didn't sound so mean and blunt and hurtful when I was saying it. But it's so important to know what your family went through, and what they did, and who was doing what, and who got in trouble for what, so that when you are encountering things in your life, that you understand where these patterns are coming from, because you may not have had a relationship with like older people in your family, but you may like do something exactly like your grandma or exactly like your grandpa, and that's because those things are being passed down. And so if you have no idea what happened in your family, you could be reliving something that was like a negative instance in that person's life, and you're reliving it because you have no history, you have no knowledge of the things that your family went through. And I think when you know what happened, you'll approach it, and it's wisdom, it's knowledge. When you have wisdom, when you have knowledge, if you know that a goddamn hallway is booby trapped with lasers and shit, you're not gonna go down it. So it's the same with knowing family history, and knowing information from your family lineage that you can use to help you make better decisions for your life. And so I think that's really important. I think that, like I said, I asked questions, I said stuff that I observed. I don't think the way that I went about like some of my conversations when I was like starting my healing journey, I don't think that it was delivered in the right way. So that's what I've learned. I've learned that I can say it in a loving way. I need to be patient about how I approach people in family history, because I feel like a lot of Black people are really sensitive about family history and like some of the things that have happened, and that's because of shame. It's because of shame. It's because we don't know how to move forward from that. We don't know how to hold one another accountable. We don't know shit. A lot of us don't know what's right from wrong. A lot of us have no solid foundation because I feel like our elders, like, I will say, like, my great grandmother, I feel like she had a good foundation. She instilled in us that, that God comes first. Like, we went to church every Sunday with my great grandmother. And so then I feel like my grandmother, she's like a little less than that. Like, she may go to church every now and again. She believe in God, but she not about to make all her grandchildren go to church. Then you get to my mom. My mom, she is starting to get like some of the kids to try to go to church or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like the prayers of my great grandmother, them prayers was potent as hell. Like, them prayers is lasting for years and years and years and hundreds of years. And it's I feel like that is losing its potency over the years. And so how do we keep the potency of what our ancestors had? And I feel like true healing comes through ancestral lineage. And like one, like what I really think is important is something that I've been, thinking and dreaming about, is just having our native tongue and being able to speak in our native language. I think that alone is so powerful when it comes to healing, and just knowing where you come from. Knowing where you come from, knowing like what part of wherever you're from, what the people look like, what types of things do they usually do. um and it might be like, oh, they just those people over there, they worked with clay, or in that city they did this or they did that, and you like, dang, that's crazy. I've always liked this. I've always liked to mess with clay. I've always liked to like build stuff. um and that type of stuff gets passed down. I literally have a cousin who, her and her dad don't never really had a relationship, but there's so many things that he does that she's like, I know I got that from him. And the same with my dad. So but if you don't know, if you don't have the information, so I just think it's really important to, one, acknowledge our ancestors, and one, try to connect deeper with our the inner ancestral knowledge that we have. Our DNA is coded with memories, and I think that in this society is really hard to tap in and to remember that. And so I think it comes in bits and pieces. And I have experienced um some ancestral knowledge via like healing retreats and like healing spaces where I have went really deep. I have done like ancestral meditations and visualizations, and I have connected with my ancestors, and just um it was more so like answers that I was looking for, and things that I was looking for answers to, like situations that were going on in my life or like going on with other people in our family. I was able to kind of like tap in and feel like, deep emotions for. what I thought was like more clarity. Um, and so I think also like just being connected to them also helps us to remember um, the foundation and exactly what we did to be where we are and to be as strong as we are, or to be as spiritual as we are. Like just and like not to even get like super mystical or anything, but outside of just remembering like ancestral like DNA, or like visualizing what our ancestors were doing and trying to tap back in spiritually, something as simple as my grandma used to love this song, or my grandma used to cook this hot water cornbread just like this. My grandma used to make this cabbage just like this. Those types of things, I feel like they may be very practical, they may be very simple, but you do it and then it kind of unlocks something else. It unlocks some other thing. Like you might be eating the cabbage and then from that you like, I also remember when we had dinner and she said this to grandpa, and then this happened and this happened. I just feel like those practices, they may seem just simple and practical in the beginning, and then things begin to connect and unlock for you mentally. So I just think that is really important that we remember our ancestors, that we remember the ways of our ancestors, that we do the work to actually connect back with our ancestors. I think that there are people who do that type of work. There are people that help us connect with our ancestors, but even just something simple as listening or singing their favorite songs or doing something to honor one of our ancestors, something as simple like my grandma went to church, so just me going to church to me honors her memory. I have her Bible here. Um, my brother, I have his ashes. I have his pictures. I have my grandmother's pictures. Just simple things like that help us to connect. They help us to connect. They help us to remember. Um, and I think because this society has created so many coping mechanisms that a lot of times we as a society or we as a community don't want to remember our loved ones. We don't want to remember our ancestors because it is painful. It's hard because we have not learned how to properly grieve. We don't know how to grieve. We don't understand. A lot of folks don't understand that grief is just an opportunity to love um, the person that you lost. It's just an opportunity. My tears when I cry about the people that I've lost, that is just it's just my love for them. It's just an opportunity for me to show how much I love them, and not that I'm necessarily showing them, but it's just that it's what I feel. It's the love that I feel, and the fact that I miss them. I miss them here in the flesh. Um, and so yeah, I think that simple things, like I said, listening to music, maybe just even when it's a food that they used to like. My brother loves zucchini, so every time I eat zucchini, I'm like, Michi love zucchini. Something as simple as that, and just remembering them, honoring them in the most simplest of ways. Um, and then I do think, there I'm not the most knowledgeable person in anything, and I'm just really just learning. Like this is I feel like I'm open to learning how to connect deeply spiritually in all aspects of my life. So there are people who their life's work is how to connect with ancestors. And I have friends who are well versed in how to connect with grief and how to grieve. Um, and so I take the opportunities when I'm in spaces with people like that to ask questions and to figure out how do I connect deeper. And at the end of the day, it's really all about discernment. It's really about trusting yourself, knowing that even the people that you're seeking counsel from, that they're safe, that there are people that have your best interest at heart, that they are grounded and rooted in wholesomeness, in love, in God. Um, and so I think it's really important, when you start to kind of do your healing journey and when you start to seek out answers and when you're trying to figure out answers about just whatever it is that you may be going through, that you have discernment and that you're patient and that you take your time with with who you choose to help walk you through certain parts of your healing journey. I think that's something that to be very, very careful, very, 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 very careful about, because there are people who will take advantage of people who are healing and who are broken and who and not broken to the point to where we cannot be prepared. I mean, be repaired. But broken and or have just went through tremendous pain. And I believe that all pain can be turned into power and into healing. But just be safe. Just be safe and practice and learn how to trust yourself and trust that you know exactly what you need and you know exactly who to seek out, and that you are attracting the vibration, the type of auras, the type of community that you need to help guide you and walk with you walk with you through your healing journey. um, that you have discernment to pick those type of people. um, that's it. That's all I got. I'm gonna hop off before I start falling asleep on this app. But yeah, I am I'm so grateful for my community. I'm grateful for the work that I've been able to do on myself. I'm grateful for the clarity that I have, um, around uh, the work I know I still need to do. Yes, I'm healing, but I still see the work that I need to do. And I'm just glad that I see it. I'm glad that I'm not blind to it. And um, yeah, I know what needs to be done, and I am continuously seeking that. I'm continuously seeking deeper connection with spirit, deeper connection with community. I'm seeking um, true vulnerability, discipline, consistency, love, peace, joy, happiness, long suffering. All the fruits of the spirit is what I'm seeking, and so I want to continue to do that. So, yeah, thank y'all for listening. I hope someone is able to grab and pull anything from this message that is helpful and that can inspire them in a positive way. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow to tap in on the live. Tomorrow, I am actually going to try and set up my microphone and see if I can get a live session of some affirmations and some sound healing. I'm gonna really try to get that working up and running tomorrow. We still in birthday mode this weekend, so I know we're gonna go do brunch or whatever. But when we come back for brunch, I'm gonna try to set my mic up and get things together. So if you are around tomorrow, please turn on the notifications. I'm gonna try and tap in and do some live sound healing and affirmations. But all right, peace and blessings. Y'all have a wonderful night.